This particular project, we've sought to display a range of talent and experience from really full-fledged professional sculptors to people who, may have arrived more recently and are kind of trying to figure it out. And but the scale of endeavor is always very impressive because in order to create a work of art that can be placed outside, survive the elements, is always really, really impressive to me. The Cape Cod Museum of Art has a tradition of letting the artists speak for their work at openings like this, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from every one of you that would like to speak about your pieces.
Great. So with that, we do have 40 sculptures, but I think there's 32 artists altogether to invite, if they have made it today, to say a few words about their artwork. I don't know if you've seen this, but we've made a map. It's a two-sided map. One covers the direct surroundings of the museum, the Usana Denny Sculpture Garden. The other portion covers the remaining campus all the way to the Playhouse. And so we tried to make it as easy to decipher as possible. The blue dots are the ones for Ccosi. But so we're going to go not in alphabetical order or chronological order or any other order. We're going to go in order of the map. So it will help you as you're navigating the sculpture garden to be able to start with number one and remember the sequence and maybe some of the narratives that you hear today. So the first sculpture are these screen cranes. It's Janet Kawada. I believe she told me she wasn't going to be here today, but if she is, let me know. No, she is a mass art teacher. She created these cranes out of screen material that she painted, and there's a few. So there's going to be pictures of the submission photo that we saw, and then there'll be pictures of the installation. And so we installed this to the right of the front entrance on our cherry tree. And there it is, welcome you as you come in. Most of these artworks are for sale, and the placards that are outside have the prices on them. 60% of the sale price goes to the artists, 30% to the museum, and 10% to NESA. Okay, the second sculpture is a ceramic piece by Liz Sabley Fletcher. It's called Refuge Within. Is she here with us today? This is a kind of a delightful ceramic sculpture. It comes apart in three pieces. It's a tree form that is incredibly sturdy and very well constructed. It has what looks to be like a brain on the top. And there are some acrylic paint elements. And it seems like it would make a impromptu birdhouse if you don't watch out. So that's, again, right on the walkway coming in. Okay, this artist has 3 sculptures in this exhibition, the only one with 3, Thomas Linville. Did he happen to make it here today? He's coming all the way from, I think it might be New York State. So let's just see here. So he mentions abstract form in bronze, suitable for interior or outside display. Doesn't say too much. From Rockport, Mass. So you'll see a few more of his sculptures, but they're all bronze castings, and this is an abstraction in bronze. That's where we sited it on our campus. We're going to have to keep those hydrangeas at bay. We have already done it a couple times, but okay. So this was the submitted image for Ron Mattia called Vigor. It's beautiful how you have the contrast between the metal and the glass. The glass really captures the light and radiates the light, while the metal is completely opaque. So you've got this really compelling heart-shaped glass mass between two pieces of metal. Ron, are you here with us today? No, he's also a further distance. I know he has two pieces in the exhibition. They're very well crafted, and it's surprising, but they can withstand incredible elements. He's never had any issues with them. His other piece, you'll see that he actually brings to be galvanized at a place that galvanizes the guardrails for cars. So it's really thickly zinced, and it makes it weatherproof. So these are layers of window glass laminated together. Okay, we have Gail Gelbird. This is Cascade. It's a working fountain, and it's in the middle of our koi pond. She works with encaustic. Well, first she takes an image, has it printed on canvas, wraps it around forms that she creates, and then she adds wax, and in the outdoor pieces she adds another sealant so that it's more resilient to weather. So there it is in our sculpture garden, and we'll make sure it's up and running for you to see. The water cascades below her waist there all the way down. She is also an author, and she has two pieces in this outdoor exhibition, and she'll be, she presented her book that she wrote here not too long ago. So this is her other piece. It's titled Woodland Cascade, and it's a figure bursting out of a pot of sorts. And she places these often in woodland areas, and she lives out in a very rural area, and so she places these out in her landscapes. And the imagery she takes, you can see on this figure, are of trees. So she's taking pictures of trees and then wrapping them around humans and creating this dialogue between humanity and the environment. If I'm missing anything, please tell me, Sam. So there is her submitted picture, and she also has branches that are part of the figure, so it makes that connection even further. Open house. So this was pretty apropos for our community around here. This is Jake Basso. Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Hey, why don't we hear right from the artist directly?
All right.
I wrote a few things down. I'm not a very prolific public speaker. It's great to be included in this show. There's lots of talented and creative people here. I do drawings, I do a little painting, and I make a lot of sculpture. My process is pretty much summed up in my mantra, which is, it's a bad day when you don't learn something new, and it's a bad day when you don't bring home a piece of junk. I drive a truck for a living, and I travel all over New England to construction and industrial sites. It is a daily treasure hunt for both materials and imagery that I can use. I can get out of the truck at a job site and see 3 pieces of junk on the ground. 1, maybe 2 of them will speak to me. I can identify in them some trait that shows a potential use, either as an element or as a focal point. I am fairly selective. There is a thread that runs through this collection activity that is well practiced at this point. I bring the stuff home and place it carefully in the inventory. It could be anything, a bit of rubber, wood, steel, signage. It's all fair game. Now playtime starts. When I am home, the reaching for this or that, building the composition over time. When it is resolved, then the work starts, either welding or bolting or making supports, whatever it takes to make the thing stand up. This particular piece is called Open House. The base is purposefully fabricated steel, which I pulled out of a dumpster in Fitchburg. It was a base for a piece of wire processing equipment. It was no longer needed, except by me. The lobster pot was washed up on the shore up in Scituate after a storm. Along the coast there, the beach turns from sand to rock. The transition space is rounded beach stones. My wife and I were walking the dog, and I had gone ahead because most of the interesting detritus that washes up after a storm is further up on the stones and the rocks. As I approached this particular lobster pot on that day, its presentation literally brought me to my knees. It had nestled itself into a large mound of rounded stones, perfectly upright. The tangled ropes which had connected it to the buoy trailed away from it on top of the stones. It was perfect. Open house. If you were a lobster, you could go in there, hang out, and then come back out. The doors had all been torn off, tumbling in the sea. It was an open house. I left it there that day, but I already knew that I had to get that heavy, awkward thing back to my house, and it was way out on the beach somehow. I devised a system of straps that I attached to it, and then I lay down beside it, put the straps around my shoulders, rolled over, and somehow got to my feet. It must have been quite a sight for anyone who saw me trudging home with my treasure. Thank you.
There's a great tradition of making artwork out of reclaimed materials, and this is a wonderful use, so thank you. There's a few more pictures of it in situ here. Okay, this is Tom Odell's sculpture. He submitted two got in, but he only gave us one. But we're happy to have this one. I'll show a couple pictures. I know you're here, Tom. Would you like to say a few words about your sculpture? Great, that would be wonderful.
So this is one of us.
Can you come up here? Just so that,
Sure.
Yeah, it would be helpful because I'm trying to record the evening or the day. Thank you, Tom.
This is one of a series of pieces that have been done in Corten steel. It's about 4.5 foot tall. Just a group of very similar shapes, concave and concave forms assembled as two-part sculptures. A lot of things I do are kind of paired pieces, paired together. Sometimes movable. This one is all attached, so it's all one fixed composition.
Tom has a studio and a gallery in Chatham, so you can visit and see his work in person. All these placards have some contact information and websites for the various artists. So as you walk the sculpture trail, you can snap some pictures or take some notes, and you can see more of their artwork on their websites. Okay, this is Mary Ann Agresti. This is the work at her home, and I think I saw her come in. Here she comes down. She's an architect, but she's also getting her master's in sculpture currently. I think architecture is a great expression of sculpture in its largest form. So this is a great translation. And she has two pieces in this exhibition. And this is called Palm Frond? Frond? Okay. Mary Ann address.
So frond and then see-through is beyond it in the back. I think we might look at that next.
Sure, we can do that in order.
It's just made of mild steel. I'm learning how to work in steel. This is sort of me beginning how to make my own pieces versus as an architect working collaboratively with other people who were making what I had drawn. But one thing that I'm really interested in is the negative space and the views that are created through the sculpture. So all of the pieces are allowed to bring you not just looking at the object as the final moment, but seeing through. And I imagine making maybe multiples of these, so they're sort of a field of fronds in a place. And so you can begin to occupy the same space that the fronds occupy. So this is just the beginning of that exploration.
Great. No, I love the way it's also placed with the lily of the valley.
Yeah.
It really,
Yeah.
it's
You can
nice.
start to see how multiples of them would really
Right.
look cool, like a
We're-
field of fronds.
We will just jump ahead 3 sculptures.
Oh, I can wait. That's fine.
Is that all right?
Of course.
Okay. Okay, this work is Scott Keeley. All that rises must converge. These are done in solid cast iron, which is not necessary. You can cast hollow cast iron, but that makes them extremely heavy, but also very, I guess, gravitas might be a good word for them. Are you here with us today, Scott? No? Okay, there's 2 pieces he has in this exhibition that he brought. He works at a foundry. These would be mold cast using sand molds, and they have a natural, like a connection to a sprout coming out of the ground, and this is placed in a nice spot where it appears to be growing from the earth. Okay, so this is the second piece by Ron Mattia. This one is Cascade. It has multiple clutches of glass layers, and this is the one that I mentioned he brought to that car, the railings for industrial galvanizing, and so he galvanized this whole piece with that process, which makes it look like it's steel or a gray metal, but it's actually galvanized. The title is, Cascade, so it appears to be falling down, and it really works well with the landscape. It kind of camouflages itself, so you have to look for it. So there it is. We are not mentioning the sculptures that are in our permanent collection. We have altogether, there's 65 artworks, sculptures that you can see in our sculpture garden and the campus. So they are on this map, but we aren't going to mention them here today. So, so when you're following, you can see that the yellow triangles are the permanent collection sculptures. And then there are also works that we have on loan, and those are the puce squares. Okay, this is Mary Ann's second sculpture. This is actually what was proposed. This is in her yard, and she hadn't fabricated it at that time. So this is made out of wood and other materials that she then went ahead and had fabricated. And it's ceramic, it's Corten steel and stone and some wood. Let's see.
So the first photo shown in the snow is a homosotin cardboard model that was full size that I made. I've been drawing a lot with corrugated cardboard, so I just take the corrugated cardboard and use the back side of a knife and just slash lines. And then when you fold it, it makes beautiful forms just by itself. And then I love, as I said before, to sort of see how the world frames views for you beyond your own experience. And I have this log pile at the top of my driveway, and I also need a little decompression moment between work and home. So I have a tendency to sit in the car and look through the log pile, and I realized over time that it was framing these beautiful views of the trees beyond. And I wanted to recreate that moment. As an architect, I'm also really interested in demonstrating the invisible forces of nature and building. So the idea of a pyramid log pile and the pyramid, and a triangle being the strongest kind of resistance to gravity, and the expression of gravity. So all those things interested me. I built that out of the cardboard. It was accepted into the show. I had 4 weeks to make it then. A deadline is a wonderful thing. I was able to learn how to make these clay pieces because it's been many, many years since I made anything in clay. So I was taught how to, I just made the slabs of clay and then wrapped the cardboard pieces literally in the slabs. And so if you look at them, each one has that lovely curve of the hand drawing in the corrugated, and it's translated through to the ceramic pieces. And they're glazed in a couple different colors. The steel piece is actually made out of mild steel, so it will change a lot over time. When you go out to see it, you'll see that it has already responded a lot to the weather. So I'm documenting it over the time that it's here, coming at least once a week and taking photographs of that change, which I understand will happen, and then I'm just sort of seeing what happens, trying to kind of not be so controlling about that. And you can see the little log pile to the left as sort of a memory of the footnote. So when we positioned it so you could walk up to it, so you can get that sense of view through. So from both sides, it has a view through. And then also, if you walk around to the side, the steel is only like 3/8 of an inch thick at that point. And so the ceramic piece is quite heavy visually. And so the steel sort of disappears in the piece. And so that's where the gravity and the moment of what's really resisting the weight of that piece takes in. So I'm really excited about this. And for me, it'll be the beginning of a fair amount of exploration. So thank you.
Great. Mary Ann knows how to work with the best craftspeople, and it's something that a good architect knows how to do and how to seek out the best in their craft. And so her sculpture is incredibly well crafted, and there are a lot of subtleties there that you'll notice when different pass-throughs, like in the base, and echoes of passageways that you'll have to see for yourself.
But I do want to advocate for architects who I'm learning how to make this all myself. So
Yes.
I made that.
Right. Yes, so she's working with craftsmen so that she can learn the craft.
Yeah.
Okay, so this piece is.
And I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay, so this is Ilana Krepshin. Great, so why don't we hear from Ilana? This is called Cubes.
Okay.
This is, let's see if we get a good picture of it on ours. Thank you
All
for
right.
coming.
Sure. Hi, everyone. That was a tough act to follow with Marianne because she had so many great things to say about her sculpture. But I will just quickly say that I started out as a jeweler. I've been making jewelry for 25 some odd years. I've always seen my jewelry as sculpture to wear, and that's really how I see it, as just small pieces that you happen to wear. It was actually during the pandemic that I stopped having all of the craft fairs that I typically sell my jewelry at. And so sort of like, I don't really feel like making jewelry, but I don't have any place to sell it, because I was sort of in that grind of like, got to make it to try to sell it. Here's what I need to sell. And I was like, I've actually always wanted to make sculpture that isn't to wear, also just known as sculpture. So I thought, well, I might as well start doing that since I don't have these sort of normal craft fairs. So it literally just started to get like this big, this big, this big. And so far, this is the biggest one I've made so far. And to your point that you were mentioning earlier, being impressed by outdoor sculptures that can survive, that has been one of my biggest challenges, is figuring out how to do that, because it turns out you can't just take a little piece of jewelry and scale it up and then have it survive outside. So it's been a fun learning process. And just in terms of design, I love geometric shapes, and I'm really inspired by different mathematical concepts. So that plays out in the jewelry and also in the sculpture. So that's me.
That's great. Some of your works also are kinetic. I remember you participated in the indoor.
Indoor ones have been kinetic.
Been kinetic.
I figured out the outdoor. That's
Right.
in the back of my head.
And this incorporates some mosaic tiling also that you can see as part of the piece. And all of these rectangles, it's 3 pieces, I believe. So
There are 7.
7 pieces, and they fit nestled within one another, and it's a great work of craftsmanship. So, oops. Okay, this is Ro Osborne. He submitted this image, and this is where it's placed. Come on up, Ro. This is called Red Scare.
Hello. First of all, I want to thank the museum and thank for being able to do this every other year. It's been quite a fun thing for me, just to not only to have a place that I can submit sculpture, but to just the experience of outdoor sculpture. It's something that's there are pockets of it around the Cape, but this is I think the biggest concentration of it that's probably ever happened. Thanks to Benton and the museum for that. This piece, goes back to the whole idea of opportunistic sculptors. I happen to be at the local lumber store, and they have a recycling bin for PVC, where contractors can bring chunks of PVC that they're not using. And I happened to walk by it, and there was a whole bunch of sections of post covers, PVC post covers, for the PVC fencing. I said, and I dove right in, grabbed every one that I could, and I made the sculpture. My pieces as well have a mathematical formula. I call it contextual. It only makes sense within the sculpture itself, and a lot of that is reduced dimensions. So what I did is I took these chunks of post cover and sliced them different lengths, and then I put them together. And this is the first piece that I've ever done. I've done a lot of PVC pipe pieces. This is the first piece I've ever done that I actually painted. So and I was very, very quick, and I painted the whole thing, and I submitted it to a show up in Whitensville, and it survived about a week. And the lady who put the show on said, "Oh my God, all the paint's falling off." So, which again, lesson learned. I brought it home after that show was done, and found a sandblaster up in Orleans where I live, and the guy said, "Oh, you never be able to sandblast this stuff. It's going to melt. I'm like, go for it. it didn't cost me anything, so, you know, and he sandblasted it, I repainted it. Again, this is I call it Red Scare because it's a play on words of Red Square. And it is the first piece I've ever painted, but it's fun. I gotta just say, I've been lucky enough for every one of these shows so far to be involved with the installation, and it is so much fun, just sheer fun to meet the artists, talk to them as they're helping, or we're putting the sculptures in. There's such a variety, and it's just a very, very cool thing, and it's been fun to be a part of. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Ro. So I want to thank also George Perez, who was on the installation crew, and I think I did see him in the room here somewhere. But yeah, Ro and George and I have been doing this since the first Ccosi, and it's a work of a labor of love. It is a lot of work. We usually have about I guess 4 to 5 installation days, and so it's been great to get to know the artists and to see a lot of the artists come back year after year, and we're building a little sculpture community here. You didn't put in your proposal, though, Ro, that the first one, all the paint ran off. Okay. This is, again, Thomas Linville. This is called Twin Form. He confided in me and told me it was made originally from 2 pizza boxes that he texturized and molded and cast in bronze. And so we have a little theme going on this year. We have these 2 grave-like stones, and then the whole walk that you do, all the 65 sculptures, the very last one you'll see is a gravestone. So. Okay. This is a piece by Dan Rocha called Oli, and it's a reflective stainless steel with a plastic PVC membrane that he puts the stainless steel on. So it's I think it's wonderful that it's life size. So it's and it almost looks personified, the way it has like a head and shoulders, and when you walk up to it, you see yourself in it. So there's really this great interaction between you and the sculpture itself. It's like a funhouse mirror. What was that? So you can see the photographer's feet in that one. It's different every time the weather changes because it is reflecting its environment. Yeah, it's very dynamic. Okay, so this is probably the tallest piece. This is by Glenn Lavenberg. He's here with us today. It's titled Trigger Warning, and we have a little, after Glenn has a few words to say, this is a piece that is intended to bring awareness to gun violence and to, I guess, mass shootings. Glenn can speak to it more in schools, and the apprehension of providing toy guns to kids. So it's a bit of a social commentary on what we are having our children play with, and what happens in the inevitability that no longer becomes a toy. So Glenn?
I want to thank everyone for coming out and supporting the museum. It's an honor to have my work shown alongside so many incredible artists. The display holds over 200 water pistols. As a collector, I always was drawn to the colors and the shapes. The designs of each one has a little time capsule of childhood, and no two are the same. Art is supposed to inspire thought and evoke emotions. This piece is called Trigger Warning, so I'll leave you with one question: what is a trigger for you? And now I'd like to say, may we end with a moment of silence of the sound of the flute to fill the air. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What is your name?
Brenda Meehan.
Brenda Meehan. Thank you. Okay, one more sculpture in our, oh, I'd like to mention one other thing on this sculpture. The top toy gun actually points into the wind. It's a weather vane. And I thought that was really appropriate for this sculpture because this subject is kind of a moving target, so to speak, and it's always kind of changing depending on which direction the wind is blowing. Okay, this is a sculpture by Michael Alfano. I don't think he's here with us today, but this is the third time he's participated in the Ccosi exhibitions. This piece is titled Astral Thinking. At night it lights up and it's got blue lights. Michael has had installations in Boston and he travels all over the country. He recently had an installation in Miami. This is a beach installation. I believe this was in Miami, but this is the installation here at the museum. And it's cast aluminum with fabricated aluminum. You can see its thoughts swirling around in its noggin. So it's wonderful the way it kind of frames the rest of the building and the sculpture garden. There are a few other sculptures by Michael Alfano in the sculpture garden that are on loan that you can see as well. Okay, this is a fun little sculpture that stands about yay high. It's a Tin Man, and this is on the other side of the sculpture map. Now we're branching out onto the rest of the campus here. This was very appropriate to install next to the Cape Cinema. As many of you might know, the Cape Cinema debuted The Wizard of Oz before anyone else. So having this sculpture as part of their building was wonderfully appropriate. It's made out of, as you can kind of tell, different car parts, just reclaimed materials, and it's all fabricated together, glued together, spray painted, and it's just a cute little Tin Man. Okay.
I'm here.
You're here. Come on up, if you want to. Yeah, that would be great. I didn't know you came. Great. So,
Thank you.
welcome. So it's Eugene Pogany, right?
Yep, close enough, for sure. In almost all of my sculpture work, whether it be in wood carving or metal assemblage, I usually don't know what the form is going to be until close to the end. With wood, I just follow the lines until something appears. With metal assemblage, it's a matter of putting forms together that pleases my eye until a unitary form emerges from it. The Tin Man drew me in from almost the start. This was a character whose very sweetly ironic figure had no heart, and yet he was the most compassionate and empathetic among his group of pilgrims. What I found most appealing, at least in the author L. Frank Baum, in his telling of the original story, is that the Tin Man became so compassionate because the Wicked Witch had cast a curse on him, and it deprived him of the love he had for a Munchkin girl, and severed his body parts. It was the Tin Man's sorrow and suffering that deepened his sensitivity to the sorrow and sensitivity of others. And this was consistent with Baum's theosophic philosophy that we evolve through our suffering. This is where my identity as a psychologist comes through. Finally, I was so pleasantly surprised and pleased to learn only after my piece was accepted, as Benton had mentioned, that the movie The Wizard of Oz made its world premiere here in 1939. And that my piece now stands on the grounds by the entrance to the movie theater, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. Wonderful comments. The next sculpture is by Kevin Duffy. He's participated in every Ccosi exhibition, the 3 that we've had. He also, after we saw his aptitude in stone work and learned more about him, we asked him if he would be our stone conservator at the museum. So he has, he's been able to restore several sculptures that hadn't been on display for many, many years, and we thank him for that. The Cape Cinema is getting a facelift, so excuse the Tyvek, but it's going to be done relatively soon. But this piece is called Protective Mantle. I am sad to say that he's not able to be with us because he's having some health issues, and my thoughts and prayers are with him as he tries to work his way through. But he wanted to be here and sent an email saying such. Okay, this is an interesting sculpture. This is by Gregory Kirchi. Are you here, Gregory? Yes, you are. Okay, so come on down. I would just say that the title is Tulips, and from my conversations with Gregory, I've learned that he has done conservation for Harvard museums. He's worked on Calders. He's done an incredible, he's able to do a lot of very sophisticated work with mechanics, as you'll learn from this piece. And so thank you for being part of this exhibition.
Thank you, Benton. Thank you for the museum for allowing me to share my thoughts and ideas with you all. The sculpture is titled Tulips, and it's solar powered. It's kind of a buzzword, solar powered. What that means is there's a piece of glass that's called a solar cell, and when light shines on it, it takes the light, and here's the physics of it. It takes the light, turns it into electrons, which is electricity. So the light that we have around us, and in fact, it's slowly turning today. There's enough, on this rainy day, there's enough light, I noticed, for it to be moving very slowly. I moved to Boston around 1980 and rented a studio down on the Charles River in a junkyard that now, it was formerly the Lechmere Canal. That was garbage and cars dumped in it, and now it's a very upscale shopping center. But it was pretty dingy back then, and my studio was a metal Quonset hut, and in the summer it would get brutally hot. It didn't even have windows. I just had like big barn doors at one end, and so to escape the heat, I'd go down on the riverbank and just start sketching the landscape around me, and was really fascinated by the sailboats. And my training is as a sculptor. I graduated from University of Mass in Amherst, and I was enjoying the drawing, and had some shows of the drawings, of my drawings of the landscape. But the sailboats really captivated me. They have something about a big landscape and these tiny little things off in the distance. Your eye is just drawn to them. And I started thinking about what makes them move, and I realized it was the sun. The sun heats up the air, and that makes wind, and you're able to move objects. I mean, they're giant sailing ships in their day, all moved by the sun. So I started thinking about the idea of, could I create some sort of a kinetic sculpture that utilized this, and then thought I was aware of solar cells, and so I just started to find them, buy them, and experiment and explore them, and I started making the solar sculptures. As I made them with people, and started to exhibit them, I noticed that people were becoming aware of, they were making people aware of the environment, and solar energy was like, in 1980, nobody really knew what it was. Like today, everybody kind of is aware of what it is. But I thought that by sharing them with people, it could change minds and make people aware, especially kids. I've done a number of programs where projects in schools with children. We built, at one point, at one school, we built a solar-powered caterpillar that hiked along on the ground. And I thought that it was, important that I continue to make this work. And then the solar flowers kind of came along. My first pieces were actually sailboats that were moving. And then I started to explore other things, because all life really is coming from the sun. The energy of the sun is making the plants that we eat, that are feeding the animals that we eat, and the animals are eating the plants, and it's kind of all of life is there. So it was kind of fun that I could create something that would attach to that energy, and I'm hoping that people would think more about our attachment to that. I have metalworking and plastic working skills and work with a lot of materials. I'm also a junk finder. The mast is a ship's radio mast that I found on the shore in a junkyard in East Boston. It's a fiberglass radio mast, and then most of the other parts are fabricated out of steel, stainless steel, aluminum. The pedals themselves are vacuum heat-formed acrylic. I particularly enjoy the lightness of it and fragility, and that its survivability. It's been through a number of very hardy New England winters, frozen solid, thawed, and then started right up again. So even though, if you look at it, it's very delicate, it's also has a very robust character to it. My feeling about the work has always been that it's very joyous, and I know that when people see it and if they spend the time to piece together what's happening, that usually a smile comes to their face. But now, it seems like we're all following the news, and it seems like a much darker time, and it's looking more and more like what we're going to do is char the whole earth black. And well, at first that bothered me, but afterwards I realized that people are still going to want to have colorful, bright things blossoming in the sun in their garden, so they can buy solar-powered flowers for me. Thank you. Yes.
What's actually being motivated to move?
Magnets.
Well,
So
are the flowers turning?
the flowers open and kind of they feel like somebody taking a very slow breath. I've built large ones too, and it's the same thing. Like they don't like clang and bang. The most noticeable thing that you'll see is that pin gear going around the wheel, and there's a small electric gear motor that's driving that and is attached directly. So there's no batteries or anything like that. It's just light to the glass to two wires to the magnets, and then the mechanism.
How tall?
It's about 15 feet tall. It's in front of the theater.
The cinema.
Cinema. Cinema.
Thank you.
But you're welcome.
Greg mentioned that he had it installed outside his window on the second floor of his house, so when he woke up in the morning, he would look out and he'd be at the same height as the tulips as they were opening and closing for him. There it is in situ. And yeah, the petals open and close effortlessly in the sun. Okay. So now we have Sean Harrington. This is a two-piece sculpture called Fear and Wonder. So you'll have to decide which one is fear and which one is wonder. There's the other part. So there's this part is throwing some projectile at these tentacles that are emerging out of the ground, or most likely the ocean in actuality. And there it is installed near the tulips in front of the cinema. We thought it was a appropriate one for the cinema since they might have some action films that might correlate. And so there's steel, there's ceramic for the eyes, and there's a ceramic ball in his hand. It's all fabricated, so it's layers of steel that's bent and welded together, and it's just a fun, playful piece anywhere. Oh, you're here. Great. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone for showing up. And fear and wonder of the unknown has been a theme of mine, most of my sculptures for the last decade or so. A little background: I was just retired as a high school art teacher in Webster, Mass. After 32 years, and I taught ceramics and sculpture to my students, and tried to incorporate my own work with my teaching, of course. And I work out of Rhode Island in a Quonset hut also, but I have an air conditioner for the summer and a wood stove for the winter. But the guy on the left there, he's Corten steel, and that was actually left over from another project that I had done. And the one on the right is actually made from oil tanks, recycled oil tanks, leaky tanks. And the Fear and Wonder came about from deep space or the deep sea. What's down there? What's out there? And I've sort of pondered about that a lot, and see all the weird creatures you find. And we still don't know, we probably know more about some parts of outer space than we do about the deep ocean, and vice versa, really, I guess. So those things have always kind of sort of haunted me, of what's out there, and it's the anxiety of what's out there, and the curiosity of those two conflicting kind of feelings. So that's where this kind of comes from. And there was a photograph taken by the Hubble telescope a couple of decades ago, I think now, but it showed this tiny little dark speck of the night sky, and they zoomed in for, I think it was 11 days, 11-day long exposure photograph taken from this one space. And it looked like there was nothing there, but eventually the photograph showed thousands of little spots in there, and each spot was basically not a star, but a galaxy. So we started to realize just how big our universe was. And that kind of inspired many of my works, and this one included. And that continues. We still learn more every day, and the more we learn, I think the more we find out that we're pretty small, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it just kind of comes along, and I had stuff written down, but I prefer just to kind of wing it. I'm not a great public speaker, but bear with me. So anyways, the description by Ben there is pretty correct. It is, the two are interacting. And again, I don't really know which one is fear or which one is wonder, but it is a fun sculpture. I like my pieces to be kind of whimsical and playful, and also have a little bit of, you know, thought behind them as well, of course. I think that's that's all I have to say. Any questions? Yes?
As a non-sculptor, I'm so curious about how you create the forms on the right there, the wonderful curves, and the curving tail and everything. Is there an easy way to describe that?
Well, it's not easy. I take the, you know, an oil tank, like inside of a house, 500-gallon oil tank, whatever they are, and I cut them into long strips. And then I bend them between a jig, kind of, basically, and I just bend it by hand. I bend like, I do like a little spiral, probably about, you know, a piece that's 4 or 5 feet long will make a, you know, about a foot section as once you know, bend it around. And it's just manhandling it and bending it. Most of it is done cold, just because it's thin steel. You can bend it with enough strength. But the smaller pieces and the smaller ends, I use a blacksmith forge, an old antique blacksmith forge. And I use a MIG welder to weld them all together, and a plasma torch, which is an awesome machine that just cuts through the metal like butter. And I use the plasma torch as like a carving device. I like the the guy on the left there, the legs, you really can't see in that picture, but the legs are basically laminated steel, quarter-inch steel plates together. And then I take the plasma torch and I kind of carve away little bits of the steel. So makes a great texture. And this piece kind of was also inspired by the discus thrower, and also baseball. You know, a pitcher. You know, it's not really a pitcher form, I guess, but it's more. It was based on the discus thrower of the ancient Greek sculpture, and so that's kind of where the pose came from. And another thing I kind of play around with is the sphere. The sphere is all throughout the universe. You know, rocks floating around in space, gravity pulls them all together, and eventually form a sphere, which I think is kind of neat. And as humans, we are sort of, I guess, fascinated by the sphere, the ball. We play sports, and it's just a remarkable form. So, and I feel that that's happening throughout the universe, that other creatures from outer space, if they're out there, which I'm sure they are probably feel the same way. They have the same anxieties, the same wonders, and probably the same love of different forms, and this sphere being one of them. So,
Thank you.
all right. So, thank you.
I also appreciated the thoughtfulness that was given to the disassembly and reassembly of this piece, because this piece comes apart into 3 pieces if needed, so it's actually movable. And these tentacles, they all are separatable, so they actually could be installed by one person if need be. So it's not something that every sculptor takes into consideration, but I appreciated that very much. So another kind of coincidental thing this year is we had 3 sculptors who had sculptures that were pairs, and you'll see the other 2 as we go. Okay, this sculpture is by Michael Corcoran. It's called Dublin. He has this motif that he does frequently, where he has these pyramidal shapes with golden caps on them. They have some reference to the pyramids, and they're made of wrapped aluminum around an aluminum frame, And the cap is actually gold leaf. And you'll see this sculpture currently without its cap. If you go out and take a walk, there it is in place. It's getting its cap tomorrow. So if you come back, you'll see it with its golden cap tomorrow.
It's graduated.
It's graduated, right, with all the other kids. But it stands quite tall, and it's a beautiful artwork. Let's see, the title is, Dublin. I'm not sure what that refers to, but. Okay, this piece is by Douglas Rice. It's called Celebration. It's about 2,000 pounds. It's made of 3/4 inch cut water blasted cut steel. This artist is interesting. He comes from a contractor background of building things, and he makes these little maquettes out of cardboard. So he explained to me that they're only, a few inches tall, and he'll cut them out of cardboard, assemble them so that all the pieces of the cardboard are used within the sculpture, give or take a piece or two. And so you can see how the base of this would nest into the piece above it, which would nest into the piece above that. And again, as you examine all the pieces, you'll notice that they actually nest into one another and would be created from one rectangle of steel. So it's an economy of material, as a contractor might do, and also an incredible explosion of space. So it's a real feat of imagination, which probably only could be done in a small scale to begin with. It would be hard to work a full scale, and then you'd run into roadblocks. But it's very sturdy, and it's also amazing to see how it's installed. Everything fits together just as the cardboard would have, so that all comes apart into pieces and they sleeve together in their notches, and so you can fit it all into one little space. And he brings it on a little trailer and puts it all together in no time at all. Okay, this next work is by Westy Egmont. Are you here, Westy? Excellent. So this is called Circle of Life. I believe it's marble, and we'll learn more about it from the artist himself. Thank you. Here, I have a few pictures of it. I'll get a nice one.
Well, first, thanks to Benton. It's nice to meet a director who was out there picking up 180-pound granite pith and as well the 175-pound piece of marble that sits on the top of it. So thank you for that. And your crew. You had a couple of great guys to share this. This is West Danby marble, for those of you who are fellow sculptors and carvers. I was on the board of the carving studio for many years. I started carving or sculpting it anyway at 60, so I'm still just a baby learning. But I have so loved stone, and this piece came about two ways. One is that I think a good carver listens to the stone, and as one of the other sculptors mentioned, it's an evolution. I had no idea where it was going. But in the first cut, I saw something that was the stone's own character, and it is a remarkable, strident design inherent in the piece, and relieving it of the extra weight of the unnecessary stone allowed it to take on its circle life and to take on a decorative and I think demonstrative and dynamic character in the way in which the lines reveal all of its dimensions in the striated marble. The other part of this is, for those of you who know mythology, deep in King Tut's tomb, there's the Orubus, which is the snake eating its own tail. That same mythological character exists in Norse mythology, which is more familiar to me. And there it was the great serpent that belted the earth. And if the serpent stopped holding its own tail, the earth would go back to the gods. And so this idea of the circle in King Tut's time, 14th century BC, it was the idea of the circle of life in nature. In Norse mythology, it was the great cosmic power to hold together all that we know of life. As a more modern figurative artist, I came to this, and what I saw as happening to it was the power of women, but the power of humans who are ever recreating. And I call it Circle of Life, nothing to do with Lion King, but a love and appreciation of the fact that this regenerative power is the human power, and it is an eternal power. We have the power to recreate ourselves again and again. Every sculptor knows that fantasy is the world of possibility, and we are filled with fantasy and filled with possibility. I think it tries to capture all of those dimensions. It's wonderful to see so many other sculptors here. I've learned so much from being a part of NESA and going to the carving studio. The arts, thanks to you, are so visible and so present and in this community, a living part of why we should all be here regularly. So thank you, Brent.
Thank you. So you can see some of the details, the hands. I'm going to have to start taking yoga. And it all fits on a pin on this plinth. Okay, so the next item is Philip Marshall's Mobius. This is the submitted image, and there's the installation. There are two sculptures by Philip. Are you here today, Philip? So he has this Mobius, and which it refers to this never-ending Mobius strip, which, if you know your, I don't know, there's various references, but it's a continuous strip that never ends. It just works its way back into itself, and this is an example of that. And it's poetically fitting right in the crossroads of the campus. And his other piece you see in the distance there is titled Play Ball. And there it was in a previous installation. We chose to incorporate it a little bit more naturalistically into our landscape without the mulch. So as you can see, there's a pitcher and a batter, and it's all abstracted. There's it's powder coated steel for the materials, and I've been told that it's been to several different locations in the New England Sculptors Association world. But it was a perfect placement to have it on this lawn, this nice long strip where you can see freely the relationship between the pitcher and the batter. It is mounted on I-beams, which you can kind of see that were buried under the ground. A lot of spin on that ball. Okay, this next one is Edward Malcoon, and it's Bench Guy and Bench Lady. So this, I think, is Bench Lady. We'll have to look at the other one. But they are functional, and they were repurposed benches and put back together, fabricated steel. There's the Bench Lady. Okay. And she's got her painted fingernails. So it's very playful, and it's near the Playhouse, which is going to be perfect for their intermissions. People can enjoy the functionality of them. Okay. So there's one by the gazebo and one by the tree. Okay. We have David Holbrook. He's here with us today, so maybe he can mention a few words. I will mention what I know about this piece is that, well, first of all, David has participated in a lot of exhibitions here. He's been in juried exhibitions indoors. He has a lot of kinetic sculptures that he does. Works a lot in wood, but recently has a public sculpture that was installed in the center of Orleans that are 3 oars leaning against each other. Not an easy feat to place public sculpture on Cape Cod, as Sam Tager will attest. And this was a piece of wood. I think you'll just clarify when you get up here, but this wood is a wood that you find in Hawaii and gets frequently burnt by lava flows. Is that correct?
Something like that. Yeah. Well, talk about bringing stuff home. I try to be a selective scavenger, but that's a piece of Douglas fir that I salvaged from one of my remodeling jobs. I'm primarily a carpenter, but last weekend I was going to go bass fishing. No fish, but I went in the shed to get my fishing gear, and I have this tackle box that's supposed to hang from my belt. And this was kind of a telltale. There was a bunch of debris around the box. And I opened it up, you know, it's got like a dozen lures in it with barbed hooks in it and everything. And mice have moved in there and chewed the compartments apart. And there was all this pile of stuff outside, and I could just like picture mama mice going, you know, you're not bringing that stuff in here. You know? But, so I had a stack of these posts, and I didn't quite know what I was going to do with them, but they were too good to throw away. And then it just sort of came to me, this idea of, you know, I have a reverence for wood and the trees, and I thought I would just kind of try to turn these back into giant plants. And we had been, my wife and I had been in Hawaii 2010, I think, something like that. And we were out photographing the lava flows on the Kalapana lava plains, and we were watching this lava in the wee hours of the morning, and these tiny little green plants were in the path of the lava, and it was just burning through them again. And our guide out there said that was the Ohia, the first to repopulate the lava plains a full 7 years after the last flow. And here they go again. So it just kind of said something to me just about resilience and just the determination of life to just persistence and everything. So yeah, I wanted to restore the wood to a plant form, and it's really, this is the first one that's outdoors, so it's really cool to see, you know, the tree back out under the sun again.
There's some in situ there.
Yeah, beautiful white cedar shingle backdrop there.
How tall are these?
That's about 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's just carved out of the single post. No connections or anything. So I think that's all I have to say about it. It's one of a dozen.
Great craftsmanship, thank you. Okay, this is the image that was submitted. This is Scott Keeley's second solid cast iron piece called Sun Salutation. And there it is on the campus. It's very close to the Playhouse entrance. You can see their lot there, but you can really get a sense of its sun salutation title there. Okay, Madeline Lord. She has, this is actually out of order. That's the one that we're talking about first. This is called Go Green, Go Blue. She has 2 pieces in this exhibition. So there's actually 4 that are, well, this isn't really a pair, but she has a pair of figures in the exhibition. And this is Go Green, Go Blue. It's made out of a lot of scavenged car parts, and she welds them together and makes primarily figurative sculptures from. And there it is on the campus. And you can see, let's see, in the distance you can see her other sculpture too. This one's also appeared to be theatrical in nature, so you thought it worked well with the Playhouse. This is Jill Law, Seeds. I don't think she's with us today, is she? Oh, she is. Hey, Jill. Great. Why don't you come and tell us a little bit about your sculpture? Sure. This is called Seeds 2.
Seeds was conceived my senior year at UMass Dartmouth, which I just graduated a week ago. So it is a representation of a totem, which is a means of communication. And the seeds were the seeds of imagination for the students that I was involved with, 20-something-year-olds for 4 years that led me to this. It's a mild steel, it's plasma cut and MIG welded, and it stands about just over 6 feet. Thank you.
I think it's a beautiful composition. I think you've got a great career ahead of you. Thank you. So you can see it in the middle of these I think little lily plantings there. Something very playful about this piece. And did you say it's Corten steel?
It's mild.
Mild steel. If people don't know what Corten steel is, because it was mentioned a few times today, it's a steel that's meant to rust to a certain point, and that rust becomes a protective layer and helps to prevent it from further rusting. Steel has some of the same properties, but if left outside forever, it tends to rust all the way through eventually. Okay, this is Madeline Lord's second work. This one's called Core, and it's appropriately the core of a human without the arms or head. But it's a little bit like a Borg with all the mechanical parts creating a human. Okay, we have 3 more pieces to go. This is Thomas Linville's third bronze that he has in this exhibition. This one's called Bird. To me, it's reminiscent of Brancusi's has a sculpture also titled Bird. It's a little more simple, but I think there's something akin to that piece, also in bronze. This is nestled in a grove of locust trees. And then we have Mackenzie Silk, and she is with us here today. This one's titled Moment of Rest, and it's a beautifully, very sensitively sculpted horse shape, only possible by somebody who's very intimate and familiar with the horse anatomy. And here it is in our garden. It's just gorgeous. I do have to say we did capture a catbird in its head a few weeks ago, but I was able to get it out. But so it could also be a trap. Okay, come on up. Mackenzie Silk.
Thank you. So this is called Moment of Rest. It's made from welded steel rods, chicken wire, and found vines. So it's mostly bittersweet vines.
If you can speak a little bit into
okay,
the mic.
yeah, sure. Yeah, so this is sort of inspired by rescue horses. So I've spent my whole life working with rescue horses. I grew up around them, and so I've been really interested in their moods and different mannerisms. And I noticed in art, historically, horses have always been portrayed sort of as powerful and as like beasts of burden, that kind of thing. So I wanted to explore in art horses in a more sensitive kind of manner, and like they're really sensitive creatures, and they're very emotionally intelligent, and you'll find that if you spend any time with them, especially the rescue horses. So this one specifically was modeled after a horse named Mary. So she spent her whole life sort of in service to people. She was a thoroughbred on the racetrack and then ended up at a broodmare farm. So this is sort of Mary sort of looking at the viewer, trying to get some permission to just sort of relax and finally just retire instead of working. So yeah, that's what this is all about. And I did want to say thank you for accepting me to this show. This has been really great. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope you do the next one in 2 years.
Definitely.
Great.
Thank you.
Mackenzie also reminds me that we do have one other call for sculpture in this sculptureful year at the museum. Not only do we have David Phillips' sculpture exhibition upstairs that I hope you get to see, but when the American Revolution exhibition comes down, we will have an indoor portion of the Cape Cod Open Sculpture Invitational exhibition in that corner gallery, and we will be accepting approximately 25 small sculpture works. The call is open currently. You'll have to look on our website when it ends, but it's open now, so you still have time to enter if you would like to enter any of your smaller indoor sculptures. Okay, the last piece on our grand tour here is a sculpture called Economic Responsibility. In memory of the decade of the 1970s, a time of learning and growth of art and music, died December 31st, AD 1979, in the 10th year of its age. Observe, young man, as you go by, as you are now, so once was I, as I am now, so you shall be. Economic responsibility. So this is a stone carver who does gravestones for a living, but other whimsical sculptures out of stone and wood. And so that's the end, literally. But I don't know what the weather's doing currently, but I think we have a reception upstairs where there's some refreshments and some nibbles, and then I hope people will take the time to grab a map and see if they can follow the tour. We did it in order today, so it might help you kind of remind yourself of what we just talked about. I do want to thank again Sam Tager for being my co-juror. I didn't mention he is the curator at the Provincetown Monument and also the executive director of the Provincetown Public Sculpture Foundation. And he's been wonderful in helping to select these sculptures. And we have one more round of sculpture selecting to do for the indoor. So thank you all for coming, and thank you NESA, and thank you the Arts Foundation for providing the stipends. It's been wonderful. Thank you.